Hi, I'm Tom Doyle here at Rumbleseat Music, and I'm Les Paul's right-hand man for 45 years. I'm here with this great American instrument made by Gretsch for Chet Atkins. Just a fantastic prototype that he was using in 1956. Very interesting question. How did I get this guitar? Well, I worked for a very famous collector, Mr. Scott Chinnery, and he was introduced to me by Les Paul. And why that happened is because Les wanted Scott to know that I was working for him, and that Scott Chinnery would now have somebody really pro to take care of his instruments, which he had close to 1,000 instruments. And Scott Chinnery's collection was very vast, many kinds of instruments. But interesting enough, this all happened one day when I happened to go down to Scott Chinnery's home in Toms River, New Jersey, and he said to me, "I need you to fix this guitar, that guitar, that guitar." And he said, "How long would that take?" I said, "Well, it will take about 3 months." And in the meanwhile, I'm looking at this particular guitar, which was right behind him. And he says, "You like that guitar?" I said, "I sure do. I know what that guitar is." He said, "Well," he says, "I got that guitar knowing that Chet used it, and it's in my book." And I said, "Well, someday maybe I can work it off by doing work for you to maybe buy that from you." He said, "Oh, well, we'll talk about that in the future." And so about a year later, I go down again to deliver guitars to Scott Chinnery, and one thing leads to another, and he says, "Well, these guitars that you did were terrific," and he said, "I have another couple of guitars for you to work on, and also I want you to take the Chet Atkins guitar and work on it." And I said, "Well, okay, what do you want me to do on it?" He says, "Well, not too much." He said, "Maybe just change the strings." He said, "Because today I'm giving you the guitar." Well, I could have just floated on a carpet there. Anyway, the point is that he said, "Okay, it's yours," and that's it. That's how I got it. Now, the interesting part about that, about a week and a half later or so, he passed away. So it was almost, you just couldn't believe it. One thing about this instrument, which I find very interesting, is that this was the instrument that really changed the world of the Chet Atkins models with Gretsch. And actually, Jimmy Webster, who was one of the salesmen and reps for Gretsch, really brought this guitar into view for Chet Atkins to try and prototype it for him. And without that connection between Jimmy Webster, Chet Atkins, and Fred Gretsch, this guitar probably wouldn't exist at all. But this is why they were trying to constantly improve the Gretsch guitar, try to bring it to a high point of what Chet was looking for. And without this guitar, you wouldn't have the Country Gentleman as it would become later on. So this is really a historic instrument, one that everybody should come to see here at Rumbleseat Music.